Good morning. Today is day 299 of our 365-day journey through scriptures. At the moment, we're looking at the Jesus story from St. Mark, which he shares with Matthew and Luke almost word for word. And today we are in Holy Week, and we find Pharisees and Sadducees testing Jesus with impossible or difficult questions. We are in Mark chapter 12, verses 13 to 27. The chief priests, the scribes, and the authorities sent some Pharisees and some supporters of Herod to Jesus to trap him in his answers to their questions. So they came and said to him, "Teacher, we know that you are an honest man, and don't worry about what others think of you. You treat everyone as equals and truly teach people God's way. Is it lawful to pay taxes to the emperor, to Caesar, or not? Should we pay them or should we not?" But Jesus saw through their hypocrisy. He said to them, "Why are you putting me through it like this? Bring me a denarius, a silver Roman coin, and let me have a look at it." So they brought one. And he said to them, "Whose image is this, and whose title?" They answered, "The emperor's, Caesar's." So Jesus said to them, "Give back to the emperor the things that belong to him, and to God the things that belong to him." And they were totally amazed by him. Then up came the Sadducees, who say that resurrection doesn't happen. They questioned him like this: "Teacher, Moses wrote for us that if some man's brother dies, leaving a wife behind but no child, the brother should take his wife on and breed children for his brother. Now, what if there are 7 brothers? The first one marries, and when he dies, he leaves no children. So the second marries his wife and also dies, leaving no children, and the same with the third, and so on. All 7 leave no children. Last of all, the woman dies too. So, in the resurrection, whose wife will she be? All 7 had married her." To them, Jesus said this: "The reason you get this all wrong is that you don't know the scriptures and you don't know God's power. When people rise from the dead, they don't marry, and no one marries them off. They are like angels in heaven. And as far as the dead being raised is concerned, have you forgotten what it says in the writings of Moses, in the story about the bush, how God said to Moses, 'I am the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob'? He isn't a God of dead people, but of living ones. You've got this so wrong." So, it is Holy Week, and the plot is now thickening. And traps are being set for Jesus by his opponents, both at the temple and in the court of Herod Antipas. They want him dead, or at least discredited. The crowd, however, respects him, so his questioners approach him with a veneer of politeness, addressing him as teacher and remarking on his godliness and impartiality. Then they put in their first trick question, which amounts to, does the Torah allow us to pay the hated Roman poll tax or not? It's a trap. Either yes or no gets Jesus in trouble. People hated having to pay the poll tax, so yes would condemn him in their eyes, but if he said no, then they could summon the Roman guards to arrest him there and then. Surely this must be the end of him. But he has his answer ready. In answer, he asks them for a coin, and they produce one easily because they all use the pagan coins out of necessity. On the coin would have been the Emperor Tiberius on the one side and his mother Livia on the other. And the words around the edge would have been the god Tiberius, brother of Augustus, the great bridge builder. Pharisees themselves were using pagan coinage on a daily basis. And Jesus has now shown their hypocrisy. He asks them about the pagan imagery, and they all know the coins belonged ultimately to the one that made them. That's why he can avoid the yes and no answer and say they should return Caesar's property to him and God's property to him. And then we find the weird Sadducees. The Sadducees were upper-class, arrogant philosophers. They looked down on the Pharisees, but they regarded the Pharisees as innovators. They regarded their own form of Judaism as purer and much more austere than anyone else's, and their faith didn't include the resurrection of the dead. Jesus' answer to them is interesting, in that it implies, at least for some, the resurrection has already taken place. And there is not going to be a universal waiting time for Judgment Day. And that, oddly enough, fits in nicely with what many a Christian believes today about the dead going straight to heaven. The conclusion we come to from these arguments is that first we have no choice but to live the life that is given to us, whether it fits in with Scripture well or not, and that we must use our intelligence to work out ways of living with integrity without damaging our relationship with the world or with God, which is not always going to be easy. And then we learn not to get tangled up in theoretical arguments about life, the universe and everything, and instead trust God and our own intelligence to work things out. Now, doing that will be a challenge for Jesus himself in the coming days, and we know for sure he did not find it easy. But tomorrow Jesus gets on rather well with a scribe and uses an early Jewish creed to simplify the complexity of the law of Moses, which has been a good thing for us too. I'll see you tomorrow.